Abstract brainwaves, game genie in the beanie. We ain't on the same stage, leveled up.
Other yellow hat guy here, back with another video, and let's talk some gaming news real quick. There were a bunch of indie games announced for the Nintendo Switch, most notably some ports. Hotline Miami, that whole series, is being ported over to the Nintendo Switch. The Witcher 3, not an indie game, but it's got a release date for the Nintendo Switch as well. That is October 15th of 2019. So I look forward to that. I've got The Witcher 3 on PS4. I'm trying to get into that. I played a little bit of it, and then just, you keep buying games and playing other games, and then by the time you get comfortable in those games, new games come out, and then you fall further and further behind. So I've got a backlog, and I'm trying to squeeze Witcher 3 in there for PS4. So as compressed of a game that's got to be on a dual layer disc, that is, I can only imagine what they're going to have to do. I shouldn't even say I can't imagine how they've got it on a small cartridge. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. If there's not a massive amount of DLC you've got to download, you guys want to get a big SD card for this. So moving forward, we've got Gamescom. That's already had its first day of reveals. A lot of PS4 games, a lot of news came out. For example, on PS4, Sony bought Insomniac Games. Who are Insomniac Games, you may be asking? They're the developers of Ratchet & Clank. So that's been a staple for Sony. I've only seen Ratchet & Clank on PlayStation consoles. Never seen it on Xbox or any Nintendo system. So that's good news for Insomniac Games, because they might as well have been a first-party developer for Sony all this time. I think the real kicker for Sony was the sales of Spider-Man for PS4. Those sales were over the roof, so I think Sony finally pulled the trigger and was like, we've got to buy those games, because Spider-Man on another console, of that caliber, who knows how effective that could be for one of their competitors. So while it's like, Insomniac is another company Sony is buying up, I can't be too mad at it. I kind of gripe when I see Microsoft buying up these companies, and same thing with Insomniac Games. I guess I could only be mad at Nintendo for not buying more of these developers. I don't know if they have Retro Studios, but they need to go ahead and get those guys. Who's the developer? Intelligent Systems, go ahead and get those guys. Those guys need to be absorbed into Nintendo so that they can keep making, some of these Paper Mario games and some of these Metroid Primes and Donkey Kong Returns. Nintendo, you need to get up on that. Anyway, congrats for Insomniac Games. So let's get into that Gamescom. Again, like I said, they had their first night of reveals, but what they actually showed, which was a highlight for me, was the Death Stranding. Why was it a highlight for me? Well, only because it closed the show. Hideo Kojima of Metal Gear Solid fame finally returned after a couple of absences, and they're trying to finish up that game. So what's special about Death Stranding? Well, we don't really know what it is, but we know that one of the actors from The Walking Dead, Norman Reedus, is the main character. He's the protagonist. I'm guessing, as little footage that they've shown so far that I've seen, it shows him in the main role. Now, there's some celebrities also in this game, at least voice acting wise, and you can see the credits for those. But Jeff Keighley, the host, is in the game now. Yes, they showed him as one of the characters. I'm not sure if he's going to be a playable character or just like an NPC. There's really no way to tell just yet. But they showed a weird mechanic where you can actually pee on people as a weapon. It's just very weird. I don't know what this game is, or it's clearly going to have a mature label, a mature warning on it, if that's something straight out of like Duke Nukem. I wouldn't expect that from this, but this is the same guy that had posters of people in locker rooms in one of the Metal Gear games that you could interact with. So you guys have fun with that. So let's see, what else did they show? There's a game called Kerbal Space Program, and that's coming in 2020 to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Humankind by Sega, endless space developer, Amplitude Studios. So that's like a simulation game. That's what they showed off. And bear with me, I'm reading through an article from Kotaku to talk a little bit more about some of the games I missed. There's a game, Little Nightmares 2, that's coming in 2020 to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And that's from Tarsier Studios, and that's also being worked on with Bandai Namco. So I'm not really sure what that is. It sounds like it could be some kind of horror game or whatever. Moving forward, you've got Comanche, if you remember that series. That's coming back. It's like a warfare type helicopter series. And THQ Nordic is taking on that property, so we'll see how that's going. There's a mobile companion app for Need for Speed called Need for Speed Heat Studio. So we'll see what Electronic Arts does with that. Magic the Gathering Arena, that's having a game come out. It's going to be somewhat exclusive at first, from what I understand. The Epic Store is going to have that. I know you may not want to be involved in the Epic Store, but coming this winter, it'll be there. And you can still download it directly from Wizards of the West Coast. So far, the only third party is going to be the Epic Game Store. Iron Harvest, that's going to be released September 1st, 2020. And that's all they've shown so far. There's a Call of Duty game that's going to come out. Everybody knows that. The Modern Warfare will have a beta, or I should say a open alpha, excuse me. That's going to be for PS4 only in the beginning. And it's just very interesting, like some of these articles have pointed out, that Call of Duty, I think of Xbox. I don't really play Call of Duty at all. But over the last couple of years, Sony's been trying real hard to say, hey, no, when you think of shooters, Destiny and Call of Duty, think of PlayStation. Because for a while, Microsoft has been, hey, we're the shooter team. We've got Gears, we've got Halo, Call of Duty's over here too. And, you know, Destiny is something that you really only think of as PS4, but that came from the company, Bungie, who was developing for Microsoft. So Microsoft, I guess, didn't clamp down on Bungie hard enough to get them to be absorbed into their properties like they did Rare or whoever else. But I don't know. I don't know all the information and secrets behind that, but it's just still, it's interesting that Call of Duty is, you know, really on PS4 as like a flagship kind of game. But that's going to be this weekend, and it's going to have a 2 versus 2 mode, so you guys check that out. So was there anything that I missed? What are you guys looking forward to? Last little bit of news that I want to report is I'm seeing people comment on the Nintendo Switch video or some articles online, either from myself or others, and they're wondering, hey, I can trade in my Nintendo Switch and get the new version. Yes and no. Some of these articles are trying to get you to click and get you excited and get you hyped up, but that's not really what the reality is. What it is if you bought a Switch in the middle of July last month sometime, you can get the new Switch by trading it in, and Nintendo will honor that. But if you're like myself and others who got the Switch, you know, when it debuted or months prior, you're out of luck. You're going to have to buy the new Switch. It would be unfair, in my opinion, if you just bought the Nintendo Switch, the older version, and you wanted the newer version for new battery life, and stores wouldn't honor that. So before you get all excited, understand that that's the case. You've got to have your receipt, and you can go to the place you purchased it from and say, hey, I want to switch that out. See what I did there? I want to switch that out with the other Switch. And they should honor that. But again, GameStop is offering a trade-in of your old Switch towards the new one, and you can get up to $225 in credit towards the new one. So then you're on the hook for $75. I imagine that GameStop is going to get all these Switches and try to make a good bundle for the holiday season where they backlog all those old Switches and sell them to people who are on the fence about getting a Switch for, you know, an interesting deal. Maybe, you know, bundle that in with some older games or some Joy-Cons. Who knows what they'll do, but I'm I'm 100% sure that they're going to be doing something like that come this holiday season. So that being said, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for the support on the videos. Stay tuned for some more gaming news coming soon. Captain Sensation!